Hey, vinyl community. Hello, hello, and welcome to Beetle Brad's channel. Wow, this is actually kind of a difficult video to do. I'm all excited and happy because we're talking about George Harrison. Yes, happy birthday, George. And what can be said about George Harrison, who is a absolute legend in rock and roll? So in just a few minutes, I'll explain and talk about a few things about George Harrison, but I certainly do not being able to put this into words because this is so very hard to do, to talk about George Harrison. This is my photo of the white door right here. This is George Harrison's childhood home in Liverpool that I took a picture of when I was in Liverpool a couple years back. And George Harrison is quite a mystery guy. He was absolutely very much a mystery when he was with the Beatles and always kind of was dubbed the quiet Beatle of all of them. But really, in a sense, George was not quiet. He was really outspoken. He was very much driven in everything he did. He had Paul and John to fall back on too, with his guitar playing and songs and lyrics. And there's just hundreds and hundreds of fantastic songs from George Harrison that we are truly rich to have this person in our life as a Beatle and as a solo Beatle. George Harrison, even there's this little bit of mystery about, even though his birth, which was February 25th, which is today. But kind of pretty wild because born in 1943. I have to look at my notes. I'm not totally positive. I might mess up and say something like he was born in 2001, 2008. Yeah, but George, back to what I was saying. George was a fantastic lead guitar. He played with the Beatles, with them in the Cavern Club and building throughout all of the Beatles' careers. George what introduced us into meditation with the Maharishi in '68. He was kind of a pioneer in stepping out and doing that as a Beatle and bringing the rest of them, and they all got into it. But George really took root into all of that. And George Harrison wrote some fantastic classics, like I said. Some of the early Beatles stuff that he did is just magnificent, and later stuff as George went into a later career with the Beatles and doing something and writing a lot of other songs that George did with the Beatles. And then, like I said, it's just so much to talk about his career that it's awful hard to talk about George Harrison and the songs that he did, because there's just so many songs. And then, George, when the Beatles broke up, George was the very first one who did a benefit concert, and this is the benefit concert that George Harrison did for Concert for Bangladesh. And today we just kind of take it for granted and just kind of take it of having big multitude concerts and benefit concerts and all that kind of stuff. And it's fantastic that we do, but George Harrison was certainly the one to start that off with, other likes in the band with Billy Preston and Bob Dylan and Badfinger and Eric Clapton and Ringo Starr, and kind of formed that whole thing, which was great. And, later on, George did a lot of promo videos. Here's one of his videos, which is really neat. And George was very much out in the limelight of things. He says he loves attending to his garden with Olivia and enjoyed doing that. And this is a picture of George in his garden, sitting out front there. And this is a picture of George in his house, which was a magnificent big estate. Fantastic place that George had in England. And here's a picture of George and Olivia here, and that's a real nice picture of George. And George was just, golly, I just don't know what I could say about George Harrison. Like I said, I'm really stumbling to do all of this and to think all of this. If it wasn't for George, this is a picture of Danny, his son, Danny Harrison. Danny kind of carried on in doing the music, and over here is a picture of the other Beatles when they did the anthology. And I really don't think the anthology would have come about if it wasn't for George. George was kind of really wanting to do that and really kind of wanted to be a part of all of that. So, and that was kind of a great thing. I mean, George was very big, and he did Hard Day's Night, Help, Magical Mystery Tour, and Yellow Submarine towards the end. Let It Be, another fantastic movie, which we're getting ready to talk about. Got a lot of stuff coming up on Let It Be, pictures of George's houses, stuff like that. And George, my goodness, fantastic. Happy birthday, George Harrison. Trying not to make this too terribly long, that's for sure. But on 29th of November 2001, sadly, the guitar was silent and we lost George Harrison. What a sad day that was for all, not only us Beatle fans, but also for solo days of George Harrison and solo works and all kinds of great stuff that George Harrison did. There were a lot of things that George was involved with, like handmade films and a great production, and he was involved with Life of Brian film and just countless kinds of films that George Harrison was very much involved in. George was definitely not the silent Beatle, that's for sure. George kept on and doing, he kept touring in concerts. This is the Beatles, but he did several different concerts, George, and fantastic concert. I forgot to mention Eric Clapton in the concert for Bangladesh, but George also toured with Eric Clapton in the Japan tour, and that's a fantastic concert. If you have not seen that, it's a tremendous one. Actually, it's a great video, but it's not available. There's some bootleg ones out there. This is the street that the George's house is on. But that's a great one. If you got the album or listen to the CD. But I'm trying to find another picture to kind of show here in life of George Harrison. But yeah, what a fantastic musician, but so sad we lost him. But yeah, raise a glass to George Harrison. George, you're the greatest. You're definitely happy birthday. And we thank you for all the great music that you gave to us. So rock on, George. And as I say on my channel, I'm out of here. Take care, everybody. See ya.